Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth and I run the blog lifefromtheviolasection.com where I share my favorite practice tips, general advice, and tech for musicians. Today I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about rejection, which is not the most fun topic, but this is the time of year where a lot of young musicians receive results from schools they've applied for better or worse, and for a lot of young musicians it's their first time dealing with rejection. So I just wanted to give a few tips and tricks and ways to kind of deal with that. If you've never experienced it before, or even if you have, maybe this will give you a new way of thinking about it. So a lot of what we do as musicians is based on other people's judgments, which is not a very healthy way to live, but a lot of what we do is based on whether someone accepts us or if they reject us. So we're not going to win absolutely everything that we try for, so we're going to have to deal with rejection at some point, sadly. I think the biggest realization that I have come to in rejection is that many reasons why you might have been rejected might not have had anything to do with you. It could have had to do with the school's budget, it could have had to do with how many of the instrument or voice part or whatever kind of type thing you're applying for they're actually auditioning for this time around. Maybe you just didn't make the cut. Maybe you just wouldn't thrive in that program and they can tell and they think that somewhere else would be a better fit for you. Just because you're rejected somewhere does not mean that you are not a good musician. It does not mean that you're incapable of having a career in music or just doing whatever you'd like to do. It just means that this isn't the place for you. It's not where you're gonna go, sadly. But hopefully you will be accepted somewhere, and that somewhere will work for you. You can always try again at a different time or at different places. Sometimes one place just isn't the right fit. Sometimes the people there wouldn't work well with you. You never know what the exact reason you've been rejected is for unless you go and ask, but that's not very common. So like I said, a lot of what we do as musicians is based on other people's judgments of us, which is not a healthy way to live. We should not base our self-worth on the judgments of others, because that's really going to mess up your mind. There are so many factors that go into an audition. Maybe who came before you, who played after you, what you played, how you played it, how you played that day, the judge's mood that day, if the temperature or humidity or something messed with your instrument and made it sound weird. There are so many different variables that you cannot control in an audition setting, and they can all work for you or they can all work against you. That doesn't make you a bad musician. It just makes the situation more complicated and more difficult. But just because you're rejected somewhere, please don't think that these people hate you or that they think that you are not a good musician. Some might think that. Some judges might hate you. Some might think that you're not a good musician, but that is not all judges. It might have just been the day. It might have been their budget. They might not have had room to accept you. They might have seen a different quality in you that school or that orchestra or whatever you audition for is not looking for, but they might think it's admirable. It's just so many variables, both on audition day and for the judges and what they're looking for, all work together to create this yes or no answer. And it's not quite as black and white as you may think. So I asked my Instagram followers what advice or lessons they've learned from rejection. So I'm gonna go ahead and share some of those. The first response I got was, all it takes is one person to believe in you, one school, the rest is all you. It only takes one acceptance to help you start your path or to give you a job, whatever you're auditioning for. But then you get to go the rest of the way. If everyone else rejects you, but you've got one place, then that's a road that you can go down. That's great. I love this quote from this person. It's really, really good. The next response I received is, never put your self-worth in the hands of others. Absolutely true. It's such an unhealthy way of thinking. You don't want to do that. Your self-worth should come from you and how you feel about your playing, how you feel that you've progressed, what your goals are, and how far you've come. All of those things can help you determine your self-worth. And, even outside of music, if you enjoy your life, if you have friends that you can rely on, so many things can determine your self-worth. You should not put it in the hands of judges who are accepting you or rejecting you. That's just such a small aspect of your life in comparison to everything else. Another response I received was, rejection doesn't mean you suck, usually just means it wasn't a good fit. Absolutely. And then this person messaged me again to elaborate a little more. Basically, she was rejected from a school and was really upset at first because she thought she wasn't good enough, but then realized that the program was for a different type of musician and she wouldn't have thrived in that program. So like I said, there are so many different reasons why you might get rejected from a school or an orchestra, whatever you're auditioning for, because you might just not be the right fit. You might be a great fit for a different school or a different orchestra who are looking for different qualities. But this one, that's just not what they're looking for, so why would they bring you in if you wouldn't thrive there? It's just a different way of thinking about it, and it's not quite as black and white as you might think it is. Along the same lines, someone else said, if you got rejected, it wasn't meant to be in the first place, and there's something else that'll serve you better. Absolutely. So if you've auditioned for music school this year and you didn't get in anywhere, that's okay. That happens to so many musicians. That doesn't mean that you can't be a musician. You can try something else. You can take a year off and try auditioning again. There are so many routes that might not seem as conventional, but they're also totally valid, and that's okay. If you've been rejected to just one school or just one orchestra, that's totally fine. That's totally normal. I've been rejected so many times, and I'm still here being a professional musician, teaching private lessons for a living, and I'm doing okay, and I feel good about myself, even though I've been rejected so many times. That's okay. Just, you can't dwell on all of these rejections because it's going to bring you down and make you feel like you're worthless, or that you can't make it as a musician, or that you can't achieve whatever goals you might have. One rejection does not mean that you're bad. Even many rejections does not mean that you're bad. It might just mean that you're not the right fit, you're not the person they were looking for, or they might not have had room for you. There are so many reasons why a musician can be rejected, and it is not just simply because you're bad. So I hope this helps you kind of redirect whatever you might be thinking about being rejected, and I hope you hear some good news in the next couple of weeks and don't have to deal with too much rejection. But if you need some more help, you can always feel free to DM me on Instagram at Life from the Viola section. I'm always happy to help anyone who needs it. Also, if you have learned an important life lesson, or if you have any advice to share about rejection, please leave it in the comments down below or in the comments of my blog. I would love for there to be resources down in the comments for others who are struggling. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I post new videos every Sunday at noon Eastern Time. Thanks for watching.